Let's put this dying candle out before it starts to rain. Let's put this dying candle out before it starts to rain. Let's put this dying candle out before it starts to rain. Let's put this dying candle out before it starts to rain. Let's put this dying candle out before it starts to rain. Let's put this dying candle out before it starts to rain.
This is a song for the quiet ones. Roll me over, hide my face. I am so ashamed. I will call out over mountains. Just to see your face. I was frightened, so afraid. All my hands, they did shake. This is a song for the quiet ones. And all my wisdom fell around me in black ashes and snowflakes.
puts him on his heels. Ooh, I think kicks are very important for Dustin. Trying to get close, and that takedown.
Nice job by Conor McGregor to manage his energy and get back up after the early takedown from Poirier, and there's that shoulder strike.
That's not his game. That's not his game, right? He's not a wrestler. We're having the wrestler still. He loves to fight.
But Conor's pressuring him here. Nice shots. Both appear to like what they saw out of Conor. They want an active lead hand. Looked like a debilitating calf kick there from...
You can't throw him blind, right? Because every time you the end of the punches.
No, man. You can't sit out here at this range and play with McGregor.
Oh, that leg's beat up, man. Dustin Poirier has beat up.
Oh, big left from Poirier. Now a right hand.
Oh, he's hurt.
He's got to go back to the count. Oh, big left and now a right.
Hurt him bad.
Oh,
no.
my God.
Dustin Poirier.
Oh, knockdown from Poirier. Dustin Poirier has knocked down Conor McGregor.
Immediately puts him on his heels. Ooh, I think kicks are very important for Dustin. Trying to get close, and that takedown.
Nice job by Conor McGregor to manage his energy and get back up after the early takedown from Poirier, and there's that shoulder strike.
That's not his game. That's not his game, right? He's not a wrestler. We're having the wrestler still. He loves to fight.
But Conor's pressuring him here. Nice shots. Both appear to like what they saw out of Conor. They want an active lead hand. Looked like a debilitating calf kick there from...
You can't throw him blind, right? Because every time you the end of the punches.
No, man. You can't sit out here at this range and play with McGregor.
Oh, that leg's beat up, man. Dustin Poirier has beat up.
Oh, big left from Poirier. Now a right hand.
Oh, he's hurt.
He's got to go back to the count. Oh, big left and now a right.
Hurt him bad.
Oh, my God.
Dustin Poirier.
Oh, knockdown from Poirier. Dustin Poirier has knocked down Conor McGregor.
Hi, thank you for taking my C# Basics course. Let me quickly give you an overview of what you're going to learn and how I've structured this course. In the first section, I'm going to talk about fundamentals of C# and .NET. One of the questions that a lot of beginners ask is, what is the difference between C# and .NET? So I'm going to cover that. I'm also going to talk about CLR, assemblies, namespaces, IL code, and stuff like that. Then, over the next two sections, I'm going to talk about types. I'm going to talk about primitive and non-primitive types. Now, at this point, you still cannot write any C# programs, but I have designed a number of quizzes to help you reinforce what you're going to learn. Then from section 4, where I talk about control flow, you're going to start writing simple C# programs. And from that section onwards, in every section, you're going to learn something new about C# and you're going to write more interesting programs. And finally, I'm going to conclude this course with a section on debugging. So I'm going to show you some of the tools we have. So when you have bugs in your code, you know how to find them and get rid of them. I'm also going to talk about some good programming practices that help you write better and more reliable code. So we have a lot to cover, and let's get started. Okay, so this is the very first section of this course. In this section, I'm going to start by teaching you the very basics of C#. One of the questions that a lot of beginners ask is, what is the difference between C# and .NET? So that's the first thing I'm going to answer here. Next, I'm going to talk about CLR, or Common Language Runtime, which is the runtime environment for .NET applications. Next, I'm going to talk about the architecture of .NET applications. And as part of this, I'm going to introduce you to concepts such as classes, namespaces, and assemblies. And finally, I will show you all these concepts in action. I'm going to introduce you to the very basics of Visual Studio and write a very simple C# application so you can see classes, namespaces, and methods in action. I hope you enjoyed this section, and let's get started. Okay, what is .NET Framework and how is it different from C#? Some developers who are absolutely new to C# don't know the difference, so in this lecture I'm going to talk a little bit about C# and .NET Framework. C# is a programming language. .NET is a framework for building applications on the Windows. .NET Framework is not limited to C#. There are different languages that can target .NET Framework and build applications using that framework. Examples are F# or VB.NET. Okay, now what exactly is .NET Framework? .NET Framework consists of two components. One is called CLR, or Common Language Runtime, and the other is a class library for building applications. In the next lecture, we'll talk about CLR in more detail. Okay, before we understand what CLR is and why we need it, let me explain a little bit about the history of C#. Before C#, we had two languages in the C family, the C language and C++. With either of these languages, when we compiled our application, the compiler translated our code into the native code for the machine on which it was running. Which means if I wrote an application in C++ on a Windows machine with 8086 processor architecture, the compiler would translate my code into the native code for that machine. That is a Windows machine with an 8086 processor. Now we know we have different hardwares and we have different operating systems. So if I took that application, that compiled application on a computer with a different architecture, that would not run. So when Microsoft was designing the C# language and the .NET framework, they came up with an idea that they borrowed from the Java community. In Java, when you compile your code, it's not translated directly into the machine code. It's translated into an intermediate language called bytecode. And we have the exact same concept in C#. So when you compile your C# code, the result is what we call IL, or intermediate language code. It's independent of the computer on which it's running. Now, we need something that would translate that IL code into the native code for the machine that is running the application. And that is the job of CLR, or Common Language Runtime. So CLR is essentially an application that is sitting in the memory whose job is to translate the IL code into the machine code. And this process is called just-in-time compilation, or JIT. So with this architecture, you can write an application in C# and you don't have to worry about compiling that into the native code for different machines. As long as a machine has CLR, that can run your application. Okay, now let's learn about the architecture of .NET applications. At a very high level, when you build an application with C#, your application consists of building blocks called classes. These classes collaborate with each other at runtime, and as a result, the application provides some functionality. Now, what is a class? A class is a container that has some data, which is also called attributes, and functions, which is also called methods. Functions or methods have behavior. They execute code. They do things for us. Data represents the state of the application. Let me use an example. Think of a car. A car has some attributes, like its make, its model, its color. These are the attributes of a car. A car also has some functions. We can start it, or we can move it. So you can think of a car as a class. In a real-world application, we have tens, hundreds, or even thousands of classes, each class responsible for a piece of functionality. An example of that is classes that are responsible for getting the data from the user, process the data, and display something to the user. Now, as the number of classes in an application grows, we need a way to organize these classes. That's where we use a namespace. So a namespace is a container for related classes. For example, in .NET Framework, we have namespaces each containing tens of related classes. We have namespaces for working with data, like databases. We also have namespaces for working with graphics and images. We have namespaces for working with security. Now, in real-world application, as these namespaces grow, we need a different way of partitioning an application. And that's where we use an assembly. An assembly is a container for related namespaces. Physically, it's a file on the disk, which can either be an executable or a DLL, which stands for Dynamically Linked Library. So when you compile an application, the compiler builds one or more assemblies depending on how you partition your code.
Yes, Sandbox currently has a game problem. That problem being, according to many, that there just aren't enough games worth playing, or that there aren't enough players on most of these other games since people are playing DXRP, mowing a lawn, or some idle clicker AFK game. Now, while I do agree that, yeah, it does suck to see this happening, I also feel that with the content I've been creating for a while now, not only talking about just the development of Sandbox, but also showcasing other cool games that are coming to the platform, it's now just a waiting game. Tons of developers are working on things, and while there's more and more games that are coming to the platform every single day, there are going to be games that are probably going to be hidden since there's not enough players who are actively looking for them. And for this problem, I've definitely felt like I've wanted to solve this myself, as the work for this really hasn't stopped for me. Hell, if anything, it's provided an awesome opportunity for me to connect with my own community, to have all of us try out games and see how they hold up. I've even taken out the time to create a bi-yearly event that I hold in the winter and summer dedicated to showcasing games that are coming to Sandbox, as my love for these type of events happens around this time of the year. And yes, it'll be returning once more again on June 27th. To inform you a bit more about this type of event, this is a community event that focuses on all the awesome things and games that people, like you watching, might be interested in playing. But it still provides an opportunity for many devs that are working on a really dope game to showcase to you, so that you can try it out for yourself if you end up ever getting Sandbox. Yeah, I do understand that Sandbox is probably gonna have to take a year or two to really cook with content, but until then, I've been proactive in trying to work on events and things that will bring more content to Sandbox and even showcase games that are worth your time. I also created a collections page that anyone in the community can also make on the official Sandbox website, as this is my personal recommendations page. This is the type of stuff that I love to enjoy making and creating with the community. And while Facepunch has been cranking out updates every week, and I end up covering them to see what's changing with everything going on, I truly just don't like being idle and not doing anything for the meantime. I'm already aware that there's a ton of work that has to be done, and it seems like at the same time, I'm trying to see if we can find some actual gems that are worth playing, since right now, many feel that Sandbox feels like a barren wasteland of games that just are not worth playing. I also call upon my community to assist me in helping me find games that I probably missed, as my Discord is also dedicated to chatting about all things Sandbox, and the comments are open as well. If Facepunch is busy doing all this other stuff to update Sandbox to be better, then I guess I'll take the helm alongside with my community to find games and things that are actually worth it until it gets better.
The statue of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and bid
We
farewell
cannot keep
to
getting mad at
urban
the
academy.
stereotypes against us and in the same breath try to justify the hood ratification of our youth. I almost defended this because at least it's black people celebrating an achievement, but then I remembered that black kids are graduating without the ability to read. Only a third of Madison Preparatory Academy students can proficiently read, and yet their graduation rate is 95%. So all this gyrating and twerking is for a participation diploma as we send these kids into...
Okay. Now, there's one thing you might have noticed I don't complain about. Politicians. Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Yeah! Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out. If you have selfish, ignorant citizens, you're going to get selfish, ignorant leaders. And term limits ain't going to do you any good. You're just going to wind up with a brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant Americans. So maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe something else sucks around here, like the public. Yeah, the public sucks. There's a nice campaign slogan for somebody. The public sucks. Fuck hope. Fuck hope. Because if it's really just the fault of these politicians, then where are all the other bright people of conscience? Where are all the bright, honest, intelligent Americans ready to step in and save the nation and lead the way? We don't have people like that in this country. Everybody's at the mall, scratching his ass, picking his nose, taking his credit card out of his fanny pack and buying a pair of sneakers with lights in them. So I have solved this little political dilemma for myself in a very simple way. On election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. Fuck them. I don't vote. Two reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, who in fact did not even leave the house on election day, am in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain as loud as I want about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with. So I know that a little later on this year you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately. As for me, I'll be home on that day doing essentially the same thing as you. The only difference is when I get finished masturbating, I'm going to have a little something to show for it, folks. Thank you very much. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, and you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. And you say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there, it's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind 3 things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind. Someone's losing fucking ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long, when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Man, you know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.